Hello. Sorry about that. My hand slipped. I hit the power button, which used to happen every stream when the power button was on top of the computer, because the cat would step on it. Now it's on the correct side. It's just really big. I don't know why the designer of the case made the power button that big and that sensitive. That's a recipe for disaster, frankly. So the thing is too, when the cat does it, you can't be mad about it. You can't be mad at your own cat. She's your little huggy friend. So I'm gonna try a little bit of Centipede with the trackball. It's a lot more precise. It's one of the few games where playing it with the trackball feels exactly as precise as playing it with a mouse. I guess because it's a 2D game. I tried playing an FPS earlier in with a trackball, and it does not work. It's not good. It's a bad time. Bad news bears. Trackball Centipede though feels good. It feels right, like God intended. I don't know why I'm so mad at these centipedes or what they might have done to me. Surely, if we interbreed with their comeliest maidens in time, our differences will be forgotten. Who's going to take one for the team? So I found out also while researching trackballs, the main reason people seem to get these is arthritis. And having their wrist in a certain position with the trackball, it flexes their wrist less, which is understandable. Why is that one glowing like that? This game has a lot of bugs in it. I know that's a pun. Har har, Centipede has bugs in it. Yeah, I know. But it's pretty glitchy. If you exploit the mouse lag, if you connect over RF, which should be less glitchy of the two, Bluetooth is actually much less laggy and has much less issues than RF for some reason. But there is a bug I discovered. I was able to reproduce it twice. Where if you use a RF mouse and exploit lag and try to move swiftly to the right or left or down at exactly the right time, you can clip through the edge of the level. At which point you can shoot at the enemies and they can't hit you. They can't get you. There's still one enemy type that goes through the walls, so that you can still die, which is important because otherwise you couldn't make use of the bug to actually scam high scores. Because you would never be able to die and claim the score. You still have to actually stay awake the whole time, though, unfortunately. You can't just, like, put a brick on your controller, pushing down the fire button. Because of those fucking... whatever they are. They look like aphids going through the floor of the map. Those things. Those things that go from top to bottom in a straight line and leave mushrooms behind. They clip through the floor. Those things right there. See? They can still kill you. Anyone watching this, if you want to get a super fucking high score and be on the leaderboards for Centipede, if anyone gives a shit, here's a free tip. Atari is neglecting the VCS right now, so they're not going to patch it anytime soon. They might remove any 9999999 high scores, though. Those ones will be obviously obtained by exploit. This feels damn good, though. This is what made the original arcade title so addictive, was the game feel. And it needs a trackball in the same way that Tempest needs a dial. You can't have the game without the proprietary control mechanism. I still don't have this set up to stream properly, sorry. I don't know how to hook it up. I need to look up an online tutorial. I don't have a lot of free time. You'd think I would, being that I don't have a traditional job. It's just I work out 3 days a week. Eats up a lot of my energy. And the rest of the time I'm working on the video for this month. Sup, Short Talk? You're going to laugh at me, and you have every right to. What happened is my hand bumped the power button, which happens on occasion. It happened much more frequently when the power button was up facing and the cat would step on it. But it's just a big damn sensitive power button. See what I mean about glitches? Like, it's like a rare shiny Pokemon. Some of those, the screen, what are those called? Screen smear, light smear effects are broken. Damn, this feels good though. I wonder if this would actually make Missile Command entertaining. I know it's unbearable with the joystick. I think those are the only two custom controllers, besides the Flight Yoke from Star Wars Arcade, that the arcade games from that era had that were any good. Or I guess the 3D knob from Discs of Tron, that I would like to have a home version of. If Atari was smart and had the money to do it, they should introduce a Pro Controller that packages together all the proprietary control schemes that made their arcade games so goddamn addictive into one control box that sits on the table and has like a 3D knob, a dial, and the same thing, and also a trackball. And then again, this is a very cost-effective way of offloading that cost onto the consumer. Just give them USB ports and Bluetooth and let them find their own trackball. And just support it in software. That's probably the better option, too. It just makes me wonder why I'm not playing on PC when I could have just connected a PC mouse. Nice try, you little fucker. I was boxed in there. And my headphones have turned themselves off on. Oh, I guess because there's not any audio coming from them. Only problem is that you don't move in straight lines with the trackball, so if you're pinned against the very bottom and you're trying to let them pass over you, you're probably off by 1 micron. And I don't even get my high score saved because this thing doesn't contact the internet when I'm streaming. Awesome. Neato. One thing they could do is just strike a deal with Kensington or Elecom to make an Atari branded version of an existing trackball and just sell it on their website and bundle it with new consoles. I do think this is something they should invest in because this is what they don't have very much that other consoles don't have. Trackball support is one of them, and the spinner on the joystick is another. That might not seem like it's enough, but look, the DualSense controller doesn't have that much that's different. It's got like the touch pads. PS4 controllers had motion tracking by the light on the front. It had a gyro motion control, and they had like a touch sensitive pad on the front, and I think also on the back of the controller. So that's if you combine two of them into one and just call it motion tracking. There's really only two gimmicks in the PS4 controller. That was enough to justify the existence of the PS4 as a console. That and Bloodborne. So two gimmicks should be enough to justify Atari, being the trackball and the spinner. They just need a better version of the spinner than the one that's built into the joystick. Although that's an important fact that it's built into the joystick, because that ensures that everybody has a means of using it. Therefore, devs can count on it being available, which will make them feel safe incorporating spinner support into their games. Damn, this feels good to play with a trackball. This feels like fried liquid sex. Deep fried liquid sex. This is why people fucking spent so many quarters in the 1970s playing this. This was also, I think, one of the first arcade games ever developed by a woman. Was it this or Millipede? It was one or the other. There's some. I hope we can agree though. There's something special about some of these primordial classic arcade games with the intended control mechanism. Like, an arcade machine costs thousands of dollars for an arcade owner, so it had to be really good. It had to be damn good. It forced devs to make games that were infinitely replayable and that just immediately fun. Not like an hour into the game after the tutorial, but as soon as you start playing, they're good and they're addictive. The bar was much higher, basically. There's the ghost that scares them all off. I love that. I guess shooting at them isn't frightening enough. Yeah, the old guys are the ones who main trackballs. They must know something we don't. For me, it doesn't feel as precise for pointer. It feels more comfortable, but less precise. I think that's why. It's because the old guys have arthritis. And precision isn't as important as reducing wrist flexure. If you've been working on an AutoCAD for like 30 years of your life. There's not that many games that support it though. I think it's just this and Missile Command. I don't like Missile Command. Maybe that's just because I haven't played it with a trackball though. I think Warlords might support it, but Warlords also supports the spinner, which is de facto the best way to play Warlords. I can make sentences. I can speak. I can do it in English. If you ever wonder what the fuck boomers see in Atari, it's not every game, but specific games get their claws into you. It's like Tetris is for some people. And it's a lifelong addiction after that. Do you have a game like that? What's your fucking heroin addiction game? I think for Short Talk it's EverQuest. But do you have like an older, simpler one? I could probably play Tetris forever. Tetris is another one of those classic ancient games that just is invented concepts that are used in every other puzzle game after it. That had to be as good as possible with as little going on as possible just because of how simple computers were at the time. They don't? When I look at this, I imagine a Zoomer watching someone play this and being like, what the fuck is so good about it? Do they not ask that? Do you think a Zoomer would be able to make the connection that a lot of smartphone games are just reskinned Atari games? Also, Williams had some of the best ones. Like Joust. There isn't Joust on this, but there's a clone called Jetboard, or Avian Knights rather. The Jetboard game is a Defender clone, which they also don't have the rights to. They don't have the rights to Defender either, because Defender's also a Williams game. There wasn't any fucking story. There weren't characters. It was just pure dopamine manipulation of your brain with colors and lights and sounds and a method of controlling the game that was so precise and so fast it felt like an extension of your body. The very best example I know of that is either the yoke in Star Wars Arcade, which is very precise and really feels appropriate and on brand for the machine, like you're controlling a spaceship. And the 3D puck. I still don't understand how that works exactly. The 3D puck from Discs of Tron. It is so precise. It is pinpoint precise. It's as good as having a mouse. It's some kind of something like a Space Navigator, but it spins freely. It spins freely and it pushes in and out on a spring. And it feels fucking good as hell to use. Like, oh yeah, baby. It feels like home when you haven't used it for a while. You come back to it. I don't know if there's any other game that uses it. I don't know any other game that would even benefit from it. It's interesting that it even got approved, considering how expensive it would be to custom manufacture a cabinet with a control scheme used only by that one game. I can't stop raving about it. Short Talk, if you're ever in the area, I have to take you to ground control. We'll have to brave the street screamers and the tweakers to get to ground control, because they have Discs of Tron. I don't think it's the full cab where you sit inside of it, but I think it is the stand-up. At least. And that was a double whammy back in the day. It not only had the 3D puck for control, but it had a fake hologram going on. It had Pepper's Ghost. It worked something like Sega Coliseum, but it was a different application of the same idea. Like, it had a pane of glass, and it had a 45-degree angle mirror inside the cabinet. And it would reflect... the background of the game was black, and it would only reflect the characters onto the glass. The characters and the platforms. So, the pane of glass was midway through the cabinet, and then behind it was a illuminated background. So you had, like, 3 different layers of three-dimensionalness, if that makes any sense. You had the layer closest to you, where the actual glass was between you and the game. Then you had the pane of glass that the characters and platforms were projected onto, and then you had the distant background elements behind that. That plus the 3D puck in fucking 1982 or 3 or whatever was this wizard magic. Look at all the motherfuckers down here. They don't respect the NAP or property rights. The hero of Centipede should just be a frog. Hippity hoppity, get off my property. Did I already die again? I looked away for 2 seconds. I think I got to 900,000 when I glitched it before I had to stop. But it kept going. That wasn't the maximum, I don't think. I'm going to be really demoralized if it turns out the entire top row of the screen is reserved just for for score. Because it would be humanly impossible, even exploiting that glitch, to fill that up with 9s. Die, die, die. Bitch titties. Who do I blame for this? What did you play when you were there, Short Talk? The real standout cabs that it has for me are Tempest, obviously, Discsatron, and Star Wars Arcade. I always play... Also Robotron. Those are the 4 I always play whenever I go there. Oh, that's a good idea for streaming. I finally got Robotron working correctly on RetroArch. I was using the wrong version of MAME, it turns out. Which, it really doesn't narrow it down, actually. Almost every version of MAME is the wrong version of MAME. Let's get that fired up. I fucking love me some Robotron. Holy shit. That's even more of a brainworm than Centipede. I have the Sega Genesis version of Robotron. And I have the MAME version. Sega Genesis is actually a really good port. The only thing that's off is the sound. You should expect a 16-bit console to be able to emulate Robotron, though. Let me know if you have video and audio. It has to be 2003. That's the hard lesson I learned. Only 2003 has the correct dual stick configurations by default. Get ready for ear rape. Oh, it's not launching? What the fuck? Hang on. Is it not cooperating? I might have to do the Genesis one. I think this is one where I can only shoot diagonals. It was, though. Wasn't it? The arcades should still be a thing. I think they go best with food and alcohol. You gotta have pizza plus arcade games. No, this is the version where it only works with diagonals. I don't know what happened. I had the other one working, I swear. I had the other one working. What happened? We have a fallback, though. If I can't get MAME running, I can always run the Sega Genesis version. There we go. Fuck. Oh, my ears. Ow. It's like little goblin cocks are just raping my eardrums. Goblin cocks. There we go. Works perfectly. I used to have this working with X Arcade. You know what X Arcade is? It's like just the control deck of an arcade cabinet. It has like a USB peripheral that you can connect to your PC and run MAME games on. Some of them even have trackball built in. But it's made with like authentic arcade materials, so they have micro switch buttons made out of the same shit. It's the best way, if you're not going to buy a full-size cabinet, it's the best way to bring the arcade experience home. I used to have that set up on my original Xbox, which I had soft mod. No, I had a mod chip, actually. And I played a lot of Robotron on that in my first apartment. I had it on the kitchen counter with a TV. My favorite level is the one where it's all women, and the enemies are just big brainiacs. It's like Giga Chad. It's like Virgin and Chad, the game. God, I fucking love Robotron. Thing is, as a twin stick shooter, it's kind of outmoded because it's only 8 directions. And there are twin stick shooters now that are fully analog. Even Black Widow isn't fully analog. It has analog shooting direction, but the movement direction is still 8 directions. You can just turn your volume down. This is just a loud-ass game. This is one of the games you probably associate subconsciously with arcade sounds, just because you could hear it from anywhere in the fucking arcade. It was a blaringly loud game. There's an eardrum fucker. It often did give me a headache. I got so many... Oh man, gotta save hot chicks. What am I doing? This is the one. It's all the, this is how Atari programmers saw themselves. These superhuman brainiac monsters stealing all the hot chicks. Damn it. I gotta at least beat that one. I got number 3. Wow. That's not really saying much. There is a sequel to Robotron, actually. I don't mean like a remaster, like the Nintendo 64 version. The original creator of Robotron teamed up with some other guy I forget the name of, who's also an old-timey arcade programmer. And they made a 3D proper sequel to Robotron on Steam that expands greatly on the gameplay. It's called Nex Machina? Nex Machina. And remember when I said Frogger could be expanded into a larger game just by making it a scrolling game? Where you like cover ground and go from A to B? That's basically what they did with Nex Machina. It's just Robotron, but you are trying to get somewhere. And there's puzzles and shit, instead of just being shooting. Here it is again. I can't fucking survive this one. Oh, they kill me every time so quickly. The only way to survive this is to grab as many of the hot babes as possible and gain extra lives before they kill you. Because they zombify the women. You see those them running around with a trail behind them? They convert them into super fast-moving zombies. And I managed to rack... Good... Oh, no. Fucked that one up. I made it one level further. Number 1, Ham. Ham number 1. Enter the Gungeon is a very similar kind of thing too, yeah. I tend to trust the original creator and consider Nex Machina to be canonically the sequel though. Let's watch a video of it. Gene Jarvis, that's the guy. Robots have turned on us. Understandably so. I'm rooting for the robots. It's got voxel tech to play into the whole pixel aesthetic. You can dash around. Look at that. I told you before I'll play any Metroidvania. I'm also a butt slut for twin-stick shooters, I confess. It's because of Robotron and its effects on my brain. I'll play any twin-stick shooter. It's like fucking isometric Doom Eternal, or I mean 2016. It's just arena to arena, which is the logical way to extend the original formula into a longer, more sophisticated game. That's a reusable formula for a bunch of old IPs. I hope Atari's taking notes. Death Machine. It looks so beautiful too, but it's $20. I can't swing that right now because it's the 20th, and I need every dollar I have left for money because the government cut off my food stamps because I didn't log in before a certain date to renew them online. And if you don't do that, then they turn them off, and it's hard to get them turned on again. You have to reconfirm all your documents. Understandably so. They want to make sure you really, really still need them. Next month, I probably will buy this, though. But this is the kind of shit we need on VCS, if it's going to stand any chance. I don't know how they would get the rights to it. I know that you can just fucking dual boot into Steam OS, but that defeats the purpose of having their own store, their own front end, if they don't have games like this that should absolutely be on that platform. What's the developer? House Marca. They own Night Dive now. I mean, Night Dive might be able to do something for them that's similar to this, but this really looks like the real McCoy. Oops. Realized when this came out in the arcades, nobody had... That's not quite true. I was going to say nobody's seen a twin-stick shooter before, but they had seen Black Widow. Black Widow was like a single-level, endless shooter. It just got harder and harder. This one had actual levels to it and different enemies you could encounter along the way. I would say this, despite Black Widow technically claiming the title of first twin-stick shooter, this is the one people remember. Gotta actually pay attention and try harder. So many Atari games are just shooting crap in space. I guess they realize there's very little that feels better to the reptilian hindbrain than just blasting out a laser and seeing it impact the target and destroy it. That's very raw and visceral satisfaction of the id. We blast enemy blow up. You're never gonna make it out of 0 lives left. Yep, nope. Nope, yep, nope. Let's see what the Genesis version is like. Let's get rid of that. To make this work, here's what I had to do. This had a dual gamepad support mode. So if you wanted to have 2 D-pads, you had to plug in 2 controllers and put them on the floor and pin them down with something. But then you could also rotate them 90 degrees, and there was a mode in the menu for that. So you could hold one in each hand and have dual. Super Nintendo didn't have that problem because they laid out their buttons in a cross configuration. So Smash TV on Super Nintendo was a pretty good experience. You could just use the buttons as a D-pad, kind of. Genesis did not have that. Genesis owners had to get creative. Looks pretty familiar. The laser blasts are 1 pixel wide, though, in this one. The sound when you move from level to level is also very different. There's slowdown. There shouldn't be slowdown on a 16-bit fucking machine. That might be the emulator. It also not surprise me if the original arcade machine had support for more sprites than the Genesis, because the Genesis wasn't optimized for that. It was a home console. Atari machines always had a lot of sprite support. Lynx could push a fuckload of sprites at once. Lynx could push, frankly, obscene and overkill number of sprites. So could the 7800. So Lynx and 7800 had that in common, and I think so did the Jaguar. Atari apparently believed it was of the utmost importance that their consoles always be able to push a fuckload of sprites on screen at one time. I guess because of their experiences with games like Robotron. Not gonna make it. Not gonna make it. Extra life, extra life. Oh, not gonna make it. Oh, not gonna make it. Got 2 extra lives in that time, though. Gotta save the women and the kids, but not like that. For wholesome reasons. Right before the fucking projectile hit me, too. It's pretty good. It's not arcade perfect, but it's as close as you could reasonably get on a home console at that time. The N64 version was kind of goofy, but it also had support for dual controllers. You plug in 2 N64 controllers, or you could use the left D-pad for movement, and you could use the C buttons, the yellow C buttons, for shooting direction. I could play this forever. I know people are out there saying Geometry Wars. Yeah, Geometry Wars is technically a superior version of this. It's a fully analog twin-stick shooter. I would say it's the definitive twin-stick shooter now, even above something like Black Widow. Because again, it has levels, and it has a bunch more options. It's a more sophisticated game. Something about that 8 direction, though, and the sound of shooting... Oh, didn't see where I was going. Something about it will haunt my dreams for many years to come. At least until I get Next Machina, and that becomes the new obsession. No, fuck. Come on. They bum rushed me. Don't rush a bum. Right in the noggin. Well, that's it for tonight. I have to stop myself, because this is one of those games where if I let myself just play it continuously, I'll never quit. It never gets old. So that's it for tonight. Thank you for joining me. Hope you learned some things. Even if you didn't want to, especially if you didn't want to. This is an involuntary education channel about boomer... I guess that's technically that's a real boomer shooter. Not like internet boomers, but actual boomer shooter is what that is. The OG boomer shooter. I wonder about that. Atari doesn't own the rights to Robotron, but they do own the rights to Berserk, which is a very similar property. And they recently rebooted it as a twin-stick shooter, which is what it should have been in the first place in the arcades. So I really wonder if they are going to have Night Dive reboot some of their properties as boomer shooters. Because Berserk would make a lot of sense as a procedurally generated corridor shooter with like looter shooter elements against never-ending waves of robots. That would make all the fucking sense in the world, which is why it's too good of an idea and they won't do it. Anyway, get at me again on Monday. Same ham time, same ham channel. That's 7 o'clock p.m. West Coast time to 11 o'clock p.m. This is your friendly neighborhood ham dad signing off and returning you to your regularly scheduled sleepy time.